Hello, everybody, and hello again. Welcome. It's Friday. You know what that means. Oh, no work tomorrow for most of you guys. But beyond
No
that,
pants day.
we no pants day. I like that. In fact, if
Dare
heaven
me to
was
stand up.
I hate to ruin
I dare you.
everybody's idea of heaven, but you understand that heaven, if you like die and you believe in heaven, you go to heaven. It's basically going to be a bunch like a 45-year-old men sitting in their underwear because that's the most relaxed they ever were on their couch in their underwear with a cold beverage and maybe a Lunchable. Sorry, 45-year-old men eat Lunchables. They're delicious, some of them. We're back.
So what is it? If you're a Jehovah's Witness, aren't all the spots in heaven taken up by now? So you're just gonna burn in hell? Is it Jehovah's Witness? Mormon.
You would
I think
have
it's
to,
Mormon.
like, here's the thing: is I'm not one of them religious folk. But if I was Jesus, let's say, and you told me that in order to worship me, you were going to tell your children that we're not celebrating your birthday, which, by the way, I have given you the gift of life, but we're not going to celebrate that. Now, oh, by the way, you don't want, oh, we're not going to celebrate Christmas because it's Jesus' birthday. Is that how we're doing it, Jehovah's Witnesses? So if I was Jesus, and there wouldn't be much room at all in my heaven for the Jehovah's. I'd be like, well, go to whoever's birthday you are celebrating's house then. Maybe they want you, because you know what? Jesus likes people who celebrates his birthday. People like when you give them iPhones for Christmas in honor of me being born and shit. I'd wager that. Not a Jesus, but the Jesus. Well, you
In
know
honor
what?
of my parents being told they can't stop here. Move on. Next barn.
I think we should just, I think the honorable solution to abortion is really full blast allow it, but right next to all the clinics, much like if you want to buy a pack of cigarettes, it's got like giant cancer warnings. There should just be like warning signs and photos of like aborted fetuses, like for the first half mile in each direction. You know what I mean? Like, so you know exactly where you're going, but you also have to look at a half mile of what you're doing. Let's be real. I mean, it's not like you shouldn't be able to look at it and go, oh God, this is terrible. Well, it can't be that bad. You're going in there to do it. Your body, your choice. Just look at the wonderful artwork the community college kids put together for you. We are here to review a movie, The Creator, and we'll get into it, but not yet. What else have you guys watched this week?
We have been making our way through Mad Men. I've been playing Switch while watching Mad Men every night. There also is a new true crime documentary on Netflix called American Nightmare. I won't even say what the case is because it's really bonkers. And then we watched a movie last weekend that is still like burned in my brain. It's a movie called Saltburn. I don't even know how to describe it. It's about this college student, this kid, this guy who's obsessed with another guy, befriends him, goes to like they're like rich kids, goes to his castle Saltburn, and just the weirdest shit happens. But yeah, no, we've been working our way through shows. So like we're going through Mad Men. I want to finish Succession. Um, I know I've joked about the accents, but I really like Cillian Murphy, so I'd love to do what's the show he's in that everyone watches?
Peaky fucking
Netflix.
Peaky Blinder.
Yeah, I would love to give it a fair shot. There's no movie, right? It's just a show.
Just a show. I do love the one character. Like everybody's kind of got a pretty hardcore accent, but the one character, every time he references he's just like, "Tell him the Peaky fucking Blinder sent ya," and it's just like those types of accents. When I was a kid, you really only heard those in like big Hollywood movies and like Warcraft and fucking Diablo and like that's where you heard those sorts of voice acting. So then like you're kind of just watching like everybody knows Cillian Murphy, but nobody knows anybody else in the fucking cast. So like you're just seeing random dudes be like that guy could have very well have done half of the voices in one of the older Call of Duties and I would have no idea. Because he sounds like half the dudes, like he sounds like Soap. He sounds like Price, you know?
I've just been watching
like
Chicago
Saltburn needs
PD.
to be reviewed. Chicago PD, you love your procedure.
Yeah, I finished Fire. Now I'm moving on to PD. I did all the crossover episodes and got them out of the way, so now I just got to watch them straight through and I'm done.
Funny thing is, you don't have any idea what the PD crossover is, though. So it's not really a crossover for
No,
you.
I've watched them. I've watched them. So when I hit the crossover, because
okay.
Fire started all the other shows. So whenever I hit something that was a crossover for Fire, I watched the crossover episodes, and then it turns out I've watched them all anyway because it was on TV. So didn't really have to worry about that too much. And that's about it.
Jen and I are watching Reacher. We're in the second season. We're also finishing up The Office. We're in, I think it's season 8 now. It's the one where they go to Florida. So I think it's season 8, maybe 9, or maybe 7, but real late.
I was asked this question and I honestly couldn't think of the answer. If you were to guess how many times you've rewatched The Office, do you think it's more than 10?
Probably. We watch it realistically about every 6 months. It's about twice a year.
Same.
And since that goes back to, it's been about twice a year. Fuck, I worked at GameStop after I worked at Inc. I mean,
There's
a
been
decade.
times where we literally end it and Peacock just starts playing the first season over. And also, my 4-year-old always asks about Michael Scott. It's like
He's asking how he's doing.
It's just well, I mean, that's part of that show, though. I think that's why it's grown the way it has and become the kind of, it's not even a cult classic because it was very successful. It's a phenomenon. I don't think you could ever recreate that show. And I know that's funny to say because it literally is a reboot of another show or a remake. But like after season 1, the American Office has no ties to the original British Office.
Yeah.
As far as content and storyline and
cameo appearance by Gervais.
Yeah, it's just the overall feel is its own thing. Like the American Office created a work culture phenomenon as far as like what we deemed, like funny in the workplace. Despite it being Hollywood and unrealistic, it's still, we started watching, I think, when they were in season 5 or 6. I worked at GameStop. I was working Black Friday. I went to Target. They had the DVD box sets for like $10 a season. I bought several of them. We ended up catching up, and then I think it was either 5 or 6 when we started watching it on TV. And then ever since then, we've just been rewatching. Another one that we really love that's kind of in the same boat is That 70s Show. Reacher, by the way, Sean, is that dude is steroids big. Like, and he's openly admitted he's on steroids. And here's the thing. I do appreciate how Reacher, the TV show, doesn't paint it like you could be Jack Reacher. No, every time they get a chance, they're basically calling him a 6'5" gorilla. So like, they don't make it seem like him walking around 6'5", jacked as all shit is a normal thing, which I appreciate. But that dude's he's jacked.
Sean also said that Office is moving up the ladder to be the greatest show ever. What is it right now?
I don't know, man. I got to tell you, it's in the top 5 all time, in my opinion, at least. Might be top 3.
Not for me. My top one is a show that everyone hates, Game of Thrones.
Oh, I'd say well, I think fairly, everybody hates that final season, and then half the audience hates the final 2 seasons. And then beyond that, most people were pretty content.
My excuse that I give everyone is I am a fan of the books, and it's the only ending I'm ever gonna get, so I have to take it.
Nah, dude, that's not true. As soon as that fat fuck dies, they're gonna bring in some writer to finish the fucking book. Can we be real about Sopranos? Great show. Can we be real about this? Like,
Sopranos is a good show.
Let's not pretend as soon as he dies with a chicken wing in his goddamn hand that they won't have another fucking writer. Like, as soon as the studios find out he's dead and the publisher finds out, they're hiring the writer, or the writer's just sitting in a room like this, like an assassin from a movie.
The lawyers already have papers drawn up of how they're going to...
Like, it's just one lamp in a dark lit room, and the writer's just sitting there and a phone rings, and he just... Uh-huh. What time? Uh-huh. He gets up and slowly, like, you just hear his footsteps as he walks out of the room. That's how, and then he writes the fucking rest of the book, and then goes on and writes another season of the show. And The Wire's a great show.
Chat GPT's already written the end of it.
Yeah, he's suing for that.
I would, fuck it. Sue Google. Why not? Everybody should sue Google if you can. If you have the opportunity to sue Google, fucking sue Google.
I want to sue the AI.
Has Google damaged you? That's gonna be like when cybernetics start working their way into the human body. Has a Google device damaged you? Did an implant from Google harm you and give you unnecessary radiation poisoning?
Show us right here where it touched you.
Right. Come on down to our Google full body scans to see what's wrong with you. It's like, Google, you don't get it. You don't get it. You're just cheating the system, Google. Don't invest in Facebook. Fuck Oculus. Even though I like the device, do not give them any money. Steal it. Steal it. Go loot a store. Go steal an Oculus 3.
We are not endorsing that, please don't.
Hey, you know what? If we endorse piracy, we're going to endorse just looting a fucking Oculus.
Well,
they got enough money.
If you never own anything, you're technically never pirating anything. So.
That's true. You can't steal what's not yours.
That's true.
Wait, no, you can. That's the definition of stealing.
Yeah. I was going to say, the literal definition of stealing is taking something that's someone else's.
But what if you give it back? Then it's just borrowing.
What if you say
the
oopsie?
headset's all cracked and it's hanging off the face? And you're like, I had a lot of fun with it. Oh, by the way, I bought a bunch of games on your account, but they're all yours, bud. Like the dude's just like, that guy should be able to kill you legally. I think he should be able to pull out a revolver and just fucker. He gets one shot. Make it count. You only get one shot. Like you.
But
like,
I said,
he just
give
walks around with a
backsies.
special. Like as soon as anybody is owed a debt like that, they get to walk around with a special revolver with one bullet in it. And that's the thing about it, right? Because they could take that shot from distance and maybe not hit the guy, or they could run him off the road, pull him over, finish the job. You know what I mean? Like that's America, Wild West time, right? I've seen LA streets. It's a Wild West again.
And I can't believe I said it's not stealing if it's not your. That was like the dumbest fucking thing I've ever said.
I will say though, like I do
Just
want
let
people.
me say it.
I do. Hey man, you made that bid. I do want to point out that is the weird thing about piracy though, because like we talk about piracy as in like, hey man, if they're not gonna make physical, I'm gonna steal it. Fuck it, whatever, fuck them. But that is no different. Like if it's stealing, right? And let's say in a given day you're bored, and you download which would equate to $500 worth of content. That's really not any different from me walking into a Best Buy and stealing a PS5 and walking out and being like, hey man, you made it too hard to find. And it's like, wait, they're all over the shelves. You just stole one. And it's like, I couldn't find one for years as you're walking, and like you're walking out. It's a little bit the same. Band of Brothers, excellent show. Oh, so his is Sopranos, Wire, Breaking Bad, Office, Band of Brothers.
That's his top 5.
I really like The Wire, but it doesn't make that. I don't know if it makes my top 5 as far as how I enjoyed it. It is a great show. I'm not saying it's not.
As far as
top 5 shows.
Which one?
Tops.
Okay. Oz. Oz was another good show that HBO had.
Mad Men would be up there for me.
A show that I watched that was surprisingly good, which stars Anthony Starr from the Boys. Banshee. Surprisingly good fucking show, man. That was on a whim. I watched it and I was like, huh. And yeah, it's like a rated R Justified, basically. Lots of tits in it, which is a bit surprising. There's just random like Reacher
that was
has
also an FX show.
Reacher, no, Showtime.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that's why it's like full rated R.
Hmm.
Reacher has one of the weirdest, most out of place nude scenes in the first season, where it's like literally in the show, at this point he's already had like 3 shower scenes, but here we go, another Reacher shower scene. And out of nowhere, the main female lead just opens the shower door and she's just fully naked, and you're like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I don't know what's going on here. Why am I seeing her tits? Like, it confused both Jen and I a little bit. Like, why is this in here? Like, I get having Reacher, shower 4 times a season so you could show off all 17 of his abs. I get that.
I know it's not like a super top rated one, but if I made a list, Dexter would have to be on there.
A Dexter season 1 is one of the best seasons of television of all time.
Mm-hmm. Also, Rescue Me would have to be on there.
Show.
Sopranos.
Why don't you like Sopranos, Alex?
It's more of the hype that was going on at the time, and then when I was trying to watch it, it was just getting fucking boring to me.
Yeah, what do you have against?
I felt it was far too short.
What does Alex have against Gabagool? That's what I'd like to know.
It makes you choke. I don't know.
You know what gabagool is? I know Giovanni does. He's a fucking chef at one. You guys know what gabagool is? It's prosciutto.
Some kind of deli.
Prosciutto, yeah.
Like, I thought it was a pasta dish for years. Like, when you would hear gabagool, I was like, oh, that must be something with lots of melted mozzarella on it, right? Like, if you're going to call it that, it's got to have melted mozzarella. No, it's fucking Italian deli meat. Who thought of that? Has anybody ever met an Italian call it gabagool? And it has this same person also called red sauce gravy.
No, I don't like that word.
Yeah, in Sopranos, one of the things I didn't like was they called red sauce gravy. And it might be authentic, but I've never known an Italian fella to call red sauce gravy. So I was always like, every time we watch it, Jen would be like, why the fuck are they calling it? Like, Jen's half Italian, and she's like, I've never heard red. And her dad was like an old greaser, you know? So, like, he was like a legit Italian dude, and he called it red sauce. That's what he fucking called it. I was like, all right, cool. Just calm down there. Old Italian temper coming out.
Oh, Breaking Bad would have to be on that list, too.
Yeah. Dexter, great call. Rescue Me, great a call. Rescue Me is hard because I was there. Probably need to swap Rescue Me with The Wire. Rescue Me is a one of those shows that at times is some of the funniest writing in any show ever. And at other times, some of the most heartbreaking, serious drama you can find on television. Like,
that whole show's a fucking roller coaster, right?
Yeah, that show is basically you get the sense the entire show is nothing more than the characters' anxieties representation of real life. That's why you get the weird delusional dreams and the hallucinations, and like the whole show almost is like from his perspective, but through the lens of his PTSD and everything that comes with it. Seeing his dead cousin, who, by the way, rip, Max Payne died, everybody, a little bit ago. Who
rip?
also was Jimmy from Rescue Me. He died of cancer, which I think everybody, if you haven't played Alan Wake and you are a gamer, in order to see James McCaffrey's final work, which is well, I don't know, he might have done other voice tracks that have for yet developed games. I don't know, but for now, his final work, and he is on display in this game. Alan Wake 2 really has a lot of good work from him in it. So it does suck that he dies. When I found out Max Payne was in Rescue Me, I was like, that's fucking like I don't know, man. I nerded out to that. But yeah, he's dead. Forget about him.
Did he pass before the game can release? Did he pass?
No, it was like 3 or 4 weeks. Maybe it might have been a month or two, but it wasn't long after. All right, let's start talking about this movie. Well, that's what is.
When I was confusing the FX show, it was Terriers with the guy from True Blood and
Donald Logue.
Yeah, and Donald Logue.
I like that show. That Jen and I were mad when that show got canceled abruptly.
It was bothering me. It was eating at me like behind the scenes here in my fucking brain. I was like, "Fuck, gotta find out what this is."
It was the guy from True Blood who was the Cajun guy who wasn't really Cajun that
Renee,
knocked up the redhead. Yeah, Renee. And then
also, Donald Logue plays Donald Logue in What We Do in the Shadows.
Yep. Donald Logue is awesome. I mean, he might be a tool in real life, but he's done good. Like, I still love him from Blade 1. Like, he's a dumbass character, but I really like him in Blade 1. I gotta watch Blade 1 again. Fuck, dude, I gotta watch so many movies.
Actually, felt bad for him in that movie, even though he was a bad guy, because he
got my hand back, man.
When I was first introduced to Donald Logue, it was that movie Dow of Steve.
I remember you talking about that when we were younger.
He's a big guy that just was like a poonhound and just kept getting all this women. That was my first introduction to him.
Mine was gay porn. What?
Nope.
Anyways,
you said it here.
Huh? We're reviewing a movie called The Creator today, which is a sci-fi action movie released on Hulu, directed by Gareth Edwards, starring Some people really fucking. I only recognize one of them.
The guy from
Two of
Tenet.
I recognize Ken Wanatabe, and the lady, the white woman who's like his superior. What the fuck else? She was. I can't remember her fucking name, but I recognize her. Her face, her stupid face. Go on.
Before we review this, this is in my opinion, this is the second renaissance in the sci-fi genre that we've seen in a long time. First being Dune. I think Dune was a great introduction to sci-fi in a long time.
I mean, there's been a lot of movies along the way that have been decent.
But I'm talking like triple A sci-fi.
Yeah, but this funded by China.
It absolutely.
China number one.
China number one in Hollywood, baby.
But in your opinion, what is a number one sci-fi movie in your eyes?
Beyond, like, are we talking beyond the Terminators and stuff, or?
Okay, I consider those sci-fi. If you say Terminator, yeah, that's.
I mean, here's the thing: if we're talking like weird sci-fi, like Dark City.
Dark City, okay.
It depends on what's the problem. Is sci-fi is a huge spectrum, right? So sci-fi is literally everything from space battles to, dimensional shit. I don't know. There's a lot of them.
Well,
yes, to be honest with you.
And that's a good point. So, like, I imagine Matt's is probably more on the like action-y side.
Depends. Like I don't mind. Well, like you talked about Contact. I don't mind Contact. I just don't like Jodie Foster. I don't mind like I don't know, what is Tron? Tron would be sci-fi, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, like I actually love the sci-fi genre.
Alienation for me.
Like, I love sci-fi, but Alienation, okay. Mine is The Fly.
Okay.
I love.
Yeah.
Is that sci-fi horror, or is that
the remake or the original?
The
remake. Sci-fi horror.
Yeah, the one with.
This is how Mr. Fly eats his breakfast. He throws all the.
That's a sci-fi horror, right? And that is the weird thing.
It's got to be horror.
Well, like think about Drive. That movie has a sci-fi element to it, and it's a shitty fucking kung fu movie. Like the whole chest implant, and then the door that opens with all the clones, like that's a sci-fi feeling. And that was one of the weirdest things watching that. I was just like, wait, what the fuck? Like you could kind of pass off the whole thing in his chest as like a military movie, right? A military experiment. And then it gets to the end and he's like, don't worry, I have more. And he opens the door and it's just clones of dudes.
For me, like two of my favorite recent sci-fi movies, like two of my top favorite ones are like a little bit more like hard science fiction. So they use like, real statistical data and stuff. So Interstellar, which is my favorite Nolan movie. And then another fantastic movie that uses linguistics is Arrival, which is also by the guy who made Dune. Those are two like modern movies that would be like a 10 out of 10 for me.
See, so Giovanni does have a point. I think when I think sci-fi, I tend to go to the action route. But I do appreciate all sci-fi, but like Minority Report, I love that fucking movie. That's a movie we've never reviewed, and I don't know why.
That's true, yeah.
Like, that needs to be on a list. That needs to be on a list soon.
I've always thought that was like the one scene is creepy when he fucking hits the thing in his chin and it fucking droops his face. I'm like, ugh.
We'll announce it the end of the month. We will be doing a re-review. We're going to be doing Demolition Man. Speaking of sci-fi, Demolition Man and Equilibrium with Christian Bale. So we're gonna have that'll be a fun one. The 16th, we're going to see if we're going to be doing an episode that is Valentine's Day weekend. And honestly, if the wives want to go do something, who the fuck are we to say no? February 9th, we might do the wives' choice for Valentine's Day. That'll be our Valentine's Day episode. February 2nd is Reptile and LA Confidential. We're going with the crime factor. And then next week, we're going to be here with some bullshit, more than likely. We're just going to hang out, talk movies, see what you guys are feeling, see what you guys are doing. Matrix, Terminator, or Alien, all good. Yeah, all good. Although Matrix really kind of, as much as that is a sci-fi movie, it's kind of in its own little pocket of genre. The way, I don't know, just
it's
the way
more
it feels.
More like techno sci-fi.
Would that also be considered like a disaster type movie too?
Mm-hmm.
It's post-apocalyptic, technically.
Apocalyptic, yeah.
Okay.
I do agree with Giovanni. Like, tell me a recent science fiction movie that doesn't have fucking superheroes, that has made as much money as Dune. AAA sci-fi doesn't make money. It doesn't make money.
I thought you were gonna say in general. I didn't know you were going for the
No, yeah,
profitability.
and that's the sad thing is like sci-fi movies. If you don't have superheroes or you don't have Star Wars in the title, sci-fi movies don't make money.
You know
They
where it
don't,
makes
and that's the
money?
sad-
China.
Which is true.
That's why they're funding it. I mean, these movies make big fucking money over there.
Which one thing I wanted to bring up though, so I think the cheapest Marvel movie as far as budget before advertisement is I think Ant-Man, one of the Ant-Man movies, which was from what I looked up like 130 million. So most Marvel movies go most Marvel movies go from like 130 up to like 250 million. The movie we're going to talk about was $80 million to make and blows away all of these movies CGI. Like I there's no excuse that you can make a movie for $100 million or more and
but how many Chinese Deutschmarks did it cost?
not have as good or better sci-fi than this movie, because the most recent Marvel movies, like they have teams of people that just do CGI and they look like shit, and the CGI in this movie looks fucking awesome.
Yeah,
I will say it's got to be Gareth Edwards' CGI team, because the CGI is remarkably close to the Godzilla movie CGI, especially when you look at the explosions.
So the cool thing about him is kind of like he only has 4 movies under his belt, but every time he does a movie, he kind of wrangles like people he works with. So there was a lot of people that worked on Godzilla and some of his other films.
Okay, I know you really love Godzilla, but I'm gonna say this. No, am I the only one that thought that movie had way too little Godzilla like in it? And most of the Godzilla you see for 45 minutes is like
underwater type shit.
Underwater, or like he's just passing. Like that was one of the things that frustrated me about that movie. Is it took a goddamn hour till you actually see him. Like I get it, you got to build suspense, but that's why Godzilla -1 is so awesome. You know what I mean? That's why people are loving that, because you're not waiting an hour to see Godzilla. That's why people flock to go watch Skull Island or Kong vs. Godzilla, because they had the individual shit, but at least you got them destroying a fucking city while fighting each other. Like people don't want stealthy Godzilla that hides behind skyscrapers. They want Godzilla destroying shit. That's why Pacific Rim 1 was such a success.
They want Godzilla, not Cloverfield.
My issue is there needs to be a happy medium, because the newest movie, although it looks cool, they're starting to really lean into the Toho.
Happy medium is fine. I agree, but a happy medium means a half hour of screen time is wasted, and then the rest is Godzilla. And I understand what you're saying. There was a lot of complaints, I believe, in the new one, the new Godzilla vs. Kong or whatever, that Godzilla's running. And I believe a lot of loyal Godzilla fans are not happy about the fact that they showed him running. And they were like, you don't understand, man. If there's something that fucking big, it can't run. If it does, earth shatter. People are just losing their fucking mind. Which I found funny. Anybody who's that's tied to the core sub just makes me laugh. I was just like, you don't understand Godzilla. Only I do. And it's like,
there's a scene in one of the Toho Godzilla movies where I think he teams up with the one dude that looks like Ultraman, and Godzilla does a leaping, flying drop kick. Yes. And I feel like that's where these movies are headed.
I will say the last Godzilla, the Godzilla vs. Kong movie did at the end of it feel a little bit like a game of Smash Brothers. Just a little bit,
Fabian who's going to have Sorry.
Hello, monkeys. What's up, buddy?
Yeah.
Avatar is sci-fi. You know what, dude? I honestly find the Avatar movies underrated. They're really cool, but the last movie could have shaved an hour off of the bullshit and been a much better movie. Godzilla's full circle because created. A bingo, Sean. Now I'm gonna get all of my issues with this movie out of the way. China is asshole is the first problem. I don't like movies fully funded by China. Beyond that, it's a bit derivative. Not derivative, but it samples heavily from everything from the guns virtually sounding like Terminator guns to the concept, very reminiscent of District 9, very reminiscent of Terminator, it was an influence of a lot of movies. Now, the main problem I have with this movie is solely on the story, and that's because it's very predictable. I was in my head watching this, calling out every single betrayal, every single plot twist, every single, climax. I called the ending in my head, which was a little disappointing. It is follows a pattern. And maybe that's the problem. The only problem I really have with the movie is it follows a atypical mainstream sci-fi movie pattern of they introduce everything, conflict, resolution, and like I said, within seconds before like a plot twist happened or something like that happened, like towards the end when literally as soon as they entered the chamber and they decide they're gonna blow it up, I'm like, okay, he's gonna sacrifice himself for her. I knew it. Boom. That sucked a little bit, but other than that, I mean, the CG is wonderful in this. The fire CG they have somehow perfected. The explosions in this movie look amazing. There are some really cool scenes when they attack the one AI base and they're getting all the chatter through the radio, and you see in the distance it drops and the chatter goes silent. I thought that was really cool.
This movie gave me the energy of District 9. Like, this movie had a District 9.
For as far as action went.
When you watch District 9 as a sci-fi movie, it is so well done. From the
Dude,
combat, the story.
have we ever
it's
reviewed
so
that?
well put together.
Dialogue too for District 9. I love that shit.
We need to do District
dialogue in that movie.
We need to do District 9, Elysium, and Chappie, because all three of those movies, despite having issues, Chappie's another one with really great dialogue. Elysium's good. The only real problem with it is it's a heavy political agenda. And District 9 is as close to sci-fi action perfection as you can get, in my opinion.
Yeah, when you watch those movies, you get a good, there's a good feeling. And watching this, I was like, damn, this is those movies all over again.
See, that's the thing is everybody's excited about 28 years later, and they should be, but I want to see a District 9 sequel that follows up to maybe the alien does come down a decade later and does know how to transform him back. I'm just saying, I'd like to see something. The bringing back the guy from death for 30 seconds was my favorite part.
That part
with the Halo thing,
Halo thing.
That part was horrifying to me. Out of all the science fiction in this movie, can you fucking imagine?
I want to talk to my wife.
They've done that in other movies before. I can't remember what movie it was though, but they've done something like that.
But it's disturbing though. All she wants is the answers, and he's like, "I need to see my wife."
And this dude turns over, sees his dead body. That's fucking terrifying.
It's a little reminiscent of Altered Carbon in a way. The TV show that was on Netflix. Yeah, there's a lot of different influences in this movie, which I don't know. It's not a negative, but it's not a positive. And the only real con I can think of is it being too heavily influenced. Is it's influenced to the point where you can pinpoint exactly what movie influenced what type thing, the feeling and whatnot. However, I'm going to say this, Hollywood. You cunts better be listening. Give Gareth Edwards the goddamn Terminator frame. Give it to him. Let him take it. Let him take it and fucking run out. Here's the thing is I like this movie quite a bit. I have problems with it, but that's what I need to do. I need to watch movies and not just suck the ass of it. I need to have, because if I do have an issue, I'm not going to be quiet about it. But this movie's going to be a high-ranking movie for me. It's really good. It's a great, solid story, if not predictable. The characters, despite the fact that you really shouldn't give a shit about anybody in this movie, you find yourself getting attached to robots. One of the most haunting scenes in this movie to me is they pull a dead or a dying AI out of a car after the bombing, and he's screaming, a woman's name. You're like, where is she? Where is she? And it's a fucking robot. The idea, this movie does not leave any speculation for the concept of this isn't AI anymore. We figured out how to essentially create humanity.
They gave Tin Man a heart.
And Ken Watanabe, as he watches their base in the distance get bombed, the look on his face and the anger he shows when he goes to murder the main character is not the action of a calculated robot. That's a human reaction. That's anger. It's an emotion. So this movie never tells you the robots began to feel. They just show you. And I really like that. Even the faceless robots are you know, before the gunfight telling the children to get down, sacrifice themselves. When the Hammer of Dawn goes to fire down upon him, and he decides not to go into the building because the children robots are there. So he goes and instead takes the hit himself and gets blown to pieces. This movie is essentially, you know, it's hard not to be on the AI side because you're essentially, you know, it's Johnny Five's side, right? Like this is Johnny Five's people. He's just he's the precursor. Like, why wouldn't I want to root for and even, you know, the AI tell him, you know what's going to happen if we win the war? And he's like, what? And they're like, nothing. We just want to be left the fuck alone, bro. Yep. It's an interesting message.
In that conversation, too, he tells them that the movie begins with the nuclear bomb dropped in L.A., and the humans are like, it was AI's fault. And you come to find out, no, it was human error.
It's
an accident.
It was a coding issue. I love, if I could ever perfect, and I know I can't do Asian accents without being a MAGA racist or whatever, but I do love Wanatabi's voice. Like, if I could ever perfect an Asian accent, just one, it would be Ken Wanatabi, just so I could, like, leave voicemails and, like, spook people around, because he's got just such a, like
he's got that little horse.
Yeah, almost like
horse part to it.
Like he's just like he could be a Yakuza member smoking a cigarette. Where is the weapon? Like he's just got that, you know what I mean? Like he's got such a great fucking voice. I love Ken Wanatabi. I really do. But no, this movie's good, and you know, Sean actually had recommended it a couple weeks back, and I'd heard rumblings about it. There was a lot of talk about, you know, you guys need to check out this sci-fi movie. And anytime I hear that, and then I see it's on like Hulu or something. By the way, Hulu, fix your fucking audio track.
Yeah, it was bad.
2 movies in a row now. I'm watching their creator, and once again, my average volume on my receiver is -18. The lower the number, the louder the motherfucker is, and I'm watching this at -12. Like, I didn't go deaf in a week. Infinity Pool, I kind of blame that movie, but then we also kind of were like, maybe it's Hulu. It's definitely Hulu fucking up soundtracks, and I'm getting annoyed with it because I can run Atmos, goddammit, and you say it's 5.1 4K, give me an actual track that's worth something, because now, as soon as I see Creator on sale, I'm buying it, just so I can hear it with full-blown 5.1, because if the movie's that good of a fucking sci-fi movie, it's bound to have a decent, Dolby Atmos track or something.
Yeah, it is a shame, because I was reading up on Gareth Edwards, and one of the things they tried to nail was like the sound effects in this movie, and it's a shame.
By stealing the Terminator laser beam sound? Because they did. Let's be fucking real. They stole it.
No, even nailing down the sound of the Nomad moving, like that. Like you compared it to Chappie in District 9. Like the sound,
like especially the robot guards, the way they move,
yeah,
with their head. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The sound design and the CGI and aesthetics of the movie, like you watch like shitty sci-fi and you're like, everything looks plastic, everything looks fake, and like this movie, Chappie, District 9, you watch them all and it's like this. The movie feels like lived in. Like the tech looks like it works for this movie. It all looks legit.
I think a lot with that's why the Rogue
clunky.
One. That's part of why Rogue One, I think, was so popular, was because like
Rogue One was a beautiful looking movie.
Like they should have used him to design the rides. He made I mean, Rogue One is I like the movie, and I wish the Star Wars movies would have felt more like that in the new ones at least. But I mean, yeah, no, he really, whether it's CG or actual set design, he's got a great visual eye for what he wants the source material to look like. And he's probably using the same director of cinematography, so kudos to whoever did that on his movies as well, because those people need to get more credit too, because you have the director gives him his vision, but then the you know, director of cinematography goes, okay, you want this vision, but what if we go this angle? What if we shoot it like this? And I'm not talking about the director of cinematography that's like, now I'm going to spin my phone, I'm going to do this with it, and we're going to, you know, stand on a fucking bridge. All right. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't like Infinity Pool. I thought about it more. I didn't hate that movie, but like the story and stuff I didn't really hate. Just some of it really boiled down to I did not like the way a lot of it was shot. The first 45 minutes to me were just shot so up close to the fucking character, man.
I loved that movie. It was so weird.
Sean says that he was a cameraman operator, yeah.
Who was?
You talking about Gareth Edwards?
Was he? Then it's his eye then. I mean, if that's the truth of it, then it's his eye. I mean, and you got to give that credit.
So one of his first films he did was called Monsters. I haven't watched it in forever.
I watched that when I worked at Blockbuster. We're talking. I'm 78 years old now. So.
There's an interview with him that I saw a long time ago, where he was talking about like getting in trouble, like just going to like these random areas and filming like signs and stuff, and then like filming with the actors and just like panning over, and like they'd cut and people would be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he'd say something along the lines just like, "I'm filming for what I see there." Like he's like super detail oriented. Like that's why I hope this dude does more science fiction.
I'm telling you, dude, we know he can do a AAA franchise, right? Like we trusted him with Star Wars. He succeeded. He created something, albeit the premise is not very novel, and a lot of the influences are from other sci-fi lore, but still an excellent sci-fi movie. The past, I don't know, all of the Terminator movies past Terminator 2 have been garbage. Let's just let him take the franchise, reboot it without Arnold. Like, let's get a fresh universe reboot. Let him do the first one.
There's a bunch of fans out there starting rumors saying that they want Henry Cavill, or that Henry Cavill is the next Terminator.
I'd be okay with that. See, I love him as an actor.
It's still in the same universe, though.
See, that's the problem. Different universe.
They're saying it's still in the same universe because Arnold is going to be tied into it somehow.
No, he even said he's to get rid of. I love Arnold, but he's 70-something years old and he drinks too much. Get him out of the fucking franchise. Reboot the whole. You want Cavill as Terminator? I love Cavill. Put him in every fucking movie. Frankly, I wouldn't mind it.
I haven't seen the show Reacher, but that dude looks like he can be a good Terminator.
He needs to start taking over every role Schwarzenegger did. Him in True Lies would be amazing. Him in Running Man would be amazing. And not only that, he's a fucking brick shithouse, but he's also a fairly decent actor. And he's good with like the witty talk too, like Schwarzenegger used to be good at the one-liners. Honestly, if they don't start throwing him into like the problem is the action scene is dead though. Like at this point, they're going to have to start rebooting everything because no new action movies are coming out if it's not labeled John Wick. What
That's
name a fucking action movie that's come out in the past decade that is not a John Wick, it's not a Matrix, it's not a franchise already known. That's good. I mean, Extraction's, I like both those movies, but Extraction you could label Call of Duty and that would be fitting. That's the problem. Like action movies are action movies are relegated to popcorn The Rock movies nowadays. He's the only one they're giving them to, him and Chris Hemsworth.
I was gonna say a lot of the quote unquote newer like action AAA movies are all straight to streaming. Like you don't see a lot of.
I mean, I haven't seen the new Mission Impossible, but Mission Impossible is in that category. But that franchise has been going on since I was a kid. So like, and that was a reboot from a TV show. So like, action's kind of dead in Hollywood. That's why when a movie like Mission Impossible comes out, it's like, oh, let's go see it because nobody gets to see a good action. Like there was a time.
It's not 90s, Tom Cruise that brings them?
No. The 90s, I'm sorry, I'm going to refuse to believe that a 60-something-year-old dude with weird abs is really raking them in that much. Like, yeah, he does his own stuff.
5
cool.
foot.
Yeah, that's the other thing is he's a peewee. Yeah, also he's a freak. Super random, but if anybody watched Killers of the Flower Moon, did you notice the same actor in both? He's not an actor. He's a southern rock, old school country singer. One of my favorite artists. Was what both movies? What
Anthony?
Killers of the Flower Moon and what else?
Love Killers of the Flower Moon.
I've heard it's good. I'm waiting for it to either get cheap enough or stream somewhere.
I'm waiting for it to get shorter. It's 3 hours long.
Sorry. Yeah, can we get the un-Scorsese cut? We're gonna have this one cut up by Josh Whedon. Fucking Josh Whedon. You done it again, you son of a bitch. Scorsese's just shaking his fist in his basement. Oh, Joss Whedon! And lighting a voodoo doll on fire.
Uh,
I really enjoyed this fucking movie, and I think anybody got any other sentiments we'd want to discuss about the film? Like I said, I think if you're a fan of sci-fi action, you're gonna really dig the movie. It's got great CGI. It's got a decent enough story. It's serviceable. The action set pieces are really good. Sturgill Simpson. Oh, okay, I know that name. I'd highly recommend it. Are you guys ready to give reviews? If not, say your piece, and then we'll give some reviews.
Yeah, I think this is, like I said before, when Dune came out, I was really proud of that movie because science fiction, that did wonders for science fiction. Like, I want to see better science fiction. None of this like sci-fi show movie or sci-fi channel movie. You know, I don't want to see another Sharknado. Like, I want to see beautiful.
but that's what everybody likes, though.
I know, but like,
I mean, as far as like the main.
Dune, I feel the creator, they have proven that you can do a budgeted sci-fi movie.
I hope Dune 2, though, like, brings the ruckus while maintaining the sci-fi. Like, Dune 2 needs to be action-packed, but it also needs to maintain the feeling. It can't just be like, hey, here's a battle scene, and not retain the sort of slower, meticulous sci-fi universe that story deserves.
I hear it's gonna have a cameo of Sting. I'm just fucking around. I didn't hear that shit. I'm just saying.
Why not Kyle MacLachlan? Why Sting? Why not Kyle MacLachlan?
He's gonna fall into a pile of bones in this.
Right? He's the best friend that betrayed the main actor and the creator. And in The Flower Moon, he's the moonshine guy. I didn't realize that was him. I do still have to watch Killer of the Flower Moon. We will be doing a True Lies review or re-review at some point. Now that the 4K has been released for that, and it's out of Ghetto Vision.
That movie's so good.
It's such a great movie. But yeah, I think honestly, if James Cameron isn't coming back to the Terminator franchise, give it to a guy like Gareth Edwards. Name me another director that makes a movie this visually good looking, you know, this true to more of a sci-fi story. Like, even the violence in the movie isn't really all that violent. Like, there's not like, you know, you're not looking at pools of blood and shit. So this is the type of movie, much like a Star Wars movie, that you could watch with a younger audience, you know, and not really have a problem. Like that. So I do, even though I love pools of blood, you know me, I do appreciate the fact that, you know, he's making a movie that you could go, hey, you know, you want to watch something that dad likes? You know, yeah, it's sci-fi. You know what sci-fi is? And, you know, you can kind of show your kid it. And so there's always, I think, credence in that in movies too, especially if, you know, you can make a great story, a captivating movie, and you leave out the puddles of blood. Well, that just makes it easier to watch it with the family. And otherwise, you know, you're watching it at 1 a.m. by yourself in the dark.
Technically, there is blood. It's just AI blood, so it doesn't look like it's oil.
Well, that's the old trick, right?
It's like fluid.
What wasn't that? Wasn't that the old trick in games where it's like, oh yeah, they got mad. There's too much blood. All right, make it green.
Yeah.
At one point, the most violent game in fighting game history, Mortal Kombat, replaced its blood with fucking popcorn. Do you remember that shit?
No, but it was the SNES version, I believe, that was censored, and it was only green blood, and then you had to put in. But they did put in a code that you had to put in every time to unlock the red blood.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty funny by the developer of like, yeah, no, we'll make all the blood green. You know, we're gonna pass all your standards, and then it's like, hey, in this month's game guide, you're gonna want to see that one.
Did you guys buy Game Shark?
Blood. I used to.
Yeah.
Remember those?
I'm saying that's what
the cheat code books. They were only this wide, but they were this long for some reason.
Oh my god, lines of code.
Well,
you would be able to buy them at the school's Scholastic Book Fair.
Yes, every year I got one. Well, if you're old enough, you do remember that, like, in game booklets there was lines there, and that was either meant for, in the old school NES era, that was meant for your save game numbers
your
that
notes.
You had to put in.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. It was codes.
And then when like Zelda on SNES and shit like that came out, it was codes for unlockables or cheat codes that you'd end up writing in there, or pathway, you know, whatever. But yeah, games used to have a thing where it's like, hey, we know gamers are pretty smart. Take some notes, guys. And nowadays it's like, hey, we know you guys are functionally mentally retarded, so Google everything. In fact, don't even Google it. Just ask Siri. You know, like we're at that point in culture where we won't even type things in anymore.
I gotta find my old game cases, but yeah, when you go into the instructions manual, usually in the back there's like 2 or 3 pages of just lines.
Which as a kid, you look at it like, what the fuck? But as an adult, like if I was an adult playing, like, and I used to use it. What's up, Nikki? I used to use it for like the save games. I remember using those things a lot where you'd beat it and you could go to
Metroid.
any level. Any level you wanted. You just got to punch in that proper code. And can you imagine though if like the internet was around back then, where it's like I'm not punching shit and I'm gonna Google the code, and you just unlock every level.
How many codes have you ever gotten from other friends that actually gotten certain places in Metroid that you're like, all right, let me check it out?
I want to see how you have it. My dad actually was the one. He played the fuck out of Metroid, Super Metroid, and wrote all the codes down in the booklet. So like that was already kind of pre-filled in for me because he was a bit of a nerd when we were a kid. That's why.
Special Ed and I used to share the codes for Metroid. We would see where we are so we could see our progress and shit, and that was pretty cool.
I think Earthbound at that point had local saves, right? That was saved on the cartridge.
I have never played Earthbound.
Really?
I think.
And my 11-year-old knows about Earthbound. Well, she knows the name Earthbound. She doesn't know the game.
Yeah, does she know it from Smash Brothers?
Do you guys have a Switch in your house, Alex?
Yes.
Do you play for online?
I don't.
But
why don't you pay for the online? Or why don't you just
we have online, yeah.
I was just saying, just give me your fucking email. I got a family plan. I got like 70 more
slots.
No,
we have the online. I don't play it at all anymore because it's always locked in the room.
What are you talking about playing online?
NES?
Just clickety clack.
Is in there.
Just clickety clack your keyboards and get a fucking ROM. You don't want to. You want to play on your PC.
Staring at my cracked PlayStation 1 Classic.
How's your Xbox doing?
Why would you?
I don't know. I haven't turned it on. I've just been playing my OLED.
It sounds like somebody's starting up a lawnmower. He's like, "Oh, let me boot it up." Oh, fucking shit!
Power off.
Why is it sparking? He's fucking fighting Sparks. Al's Sparks. What are you playing Liza P on?
I was playing it on the Xbox, but I've been playing the OLED since I got it.
I told you that fucking screen was mighty. I told you I was jealous of my wife's.
I have not put it on the TV at all.
Played Mario Kart on it. She's like, I can't believe a screen changes the way the game looks. I was like, yeah.
It gives it a total, like the aliasing that OLED provides smooths everything out.
Does it give you a suntan too when you turn it on? On your face?
It's just a square.
That'd be funny if you had like the characters right here in your forehead, the character that you're playing with.
Giovanni's like, hey, it's nighttime. I'm going to play some Switch. And he just lowers his fucking welding helmet. Here we go. All right. You guys know what time it is, right?
Do it.
Here we go. Boom. Wait. Better detail makes the game more enjoyable. I think so. I mean, in some cases, I think depends on the game though. Like if we're talking classics, not really. I mean, those are classics for a reason. But if you brought out a brand new game for $70 and it was Earthbound, I think people would have a problem with it. Mm-hmm. Just the way it is. Or if you tried to sell me Contra for $70, I'd tell you to go piss up a rope. Frankly. It is time for the reviews, everybody. We're going to start with Giovanni.
I did love this movie. I do agree with Matt that the predictability is absolutely predictable. But with that said, the CG, the lore, the world building, the story was really well done. And I want more sci-fi movies like this. More movies where when they got a budget, they know how to use it. It doesn't have to be a high budget because, like Anthony said, this was what, 80 million. You said
80 million.
It's got to be.
It looked great. It's
got to be a CGI team he's worked with before. because the CGI is very reminiscent. Specifically, the explosions very much remind me of the same explosions from Godzilla.
They also worked with Industrial Light and Magic. Is that the
That's one of the big ones.
Yeah.
So it goes to show you, like, if you know how to properly utilize your budget, you can get a beautiful movie. Marvel, looking at you, like, you can get a beautiful movie out of it.
It is from just a kind of a scenery and the way that everything's framed. It really is kind of a beautiful. It reminds me of movies that are set overseas, like movies set in Nam and stuff, that always have those certain shots of the scenery that is just kind of great looking, like Apocalypse Now. Hi, KG.
So
yeah, it is a beautiful looking movie. I agree.
here's something that, like what Giovanni's saying right now. So $200 million for Ant-Man 3 and $80 million for this one. And there's a big difference in the CG and how it looked. And
we do need to be fair. With movies from Marvel comes inflated salaries as well. So if you're talking an Avengers movie, you've got within the main cast $120 million minimum.
Also, to not be fair, that's on Marvel. Like, and
they also make billions from these movies, so it's not like they're hurting.
Not only that, I can't imagine the crunch it must be for their CGI team
to fit every Marvel star ever into a movie like Endgame. Like, how much money? I want to know the breakdown of how much money Endgame cost and how much of that budget was salary for the actors, because they threw everything at the wall in that one. I mean, you literally had every person in every Marvel movie for a decade show up in that fucking twofer. I do wonder how much Endgame cost them to put out and how much of that was salary. But I mean, with that said, this movie didn't have any known people besides Ken Watanabe and the lady with the face that I don't remember her name. You know what she was in last?
Ken Watanabe was the only person I remember.
She was in
the TV show Mothers.
Yes,
Mom.
Yeah, with what's her face? The blonde chick.
What's his name's ex-wife?
You had it. Fuck. I know who you're talking. Yeah. Fuck. Yeah. The chick from Scary Movie, Cindy.
Farrah something.
Farrah Abrams. No.
The one from Scary Movie.
Yeah, the main girl from Scary Movie. She's in it. Anna Faris.
There you go.
Yeah, and what is this woman's name? Toni Collette?
Toni Collette? No, that's somebody else. That's the redhead.
This woman's name, but yeah, she was in that show. That was the last place I saw her too, Alex. We both suck.
I mean, you also keep forgetting John David Washington. His dad is Denzel Washington. He was in Tenet. He was in Inception.
Allison Janney.
Yeah, there you go.
Like,
I don't give a
Klansman.
fuck who his father is, okay? I'm not into the whole nepotism thing. Looking at you, Wyatt Russell. I actually really like Wyatt Russell.
I do like Wyatt Russell.
It's hard not to like him. Like, ever since I watched this episode of Black Mirror, and he was also in 21 Jump Street 2, like, I think he's fucking great. Alex, you were saying something?
Oh, no, I said Giovanni, go ahead and continue, because I don't think he said
what was your score?
Dogs.
Yeah, my score, I'm going to give this an 8.5 for sci-fi.
Very nice.
Yeah, I do like it quite a bit, and it's your quintessential sci-fi. Like, if you think sci-fi, they robots. Like,
yeah, I also, this is probably the most approachable. Like, if you really want to start, like, if someone has never watched a sci-fi movie and you want to kind of give them a broad spectrum's feel of the genre while having them watch a movie that is approachable, I think this would be a good candidate for that. I think you can have somebody not into sci-fi at all watch this movie and enjoy it, and then slowly kind of be like, well, if you dug the concept, there's other movies you know what I mean?
Yeah.
8.5 for Giovanni. Lewis, what do you got going on?
I'm gonna go with a 7.5. I do think it's a really good movie, especially if you think there are no good sci-fi movies besides like Dune and Star Wars, I definitely check this out. Also, if you like this, there's a Swedish artist who does these digital paintings, and he's known for this book called Tales from the Loop, which I would look it up if you like this. It's very much in the vein of like retro futuristic art. It looks a lot like this. Think of like a Fallout, but more like in a later date instead of the 50s. And they actually turned it into an anthology TV show
Prime.
that got one season on Prime. But it's kind of the same concept, like the tech in the book and in the show is reminiscent of like this in Chappie, where it looks like it makes sense for the time that it's in. So yeah, if you like art books, check that out.
Well, also if you
yeah,
notice something within like Chappie and even this movie, it always seems like when we in movies when the tech hits this level where you kind of have sentient robot beings, the Earth is almost always in shambles at that point too.
Yeah,
District 9 with I know that was aliens, but they had a lot of weird robotic tech. Chappie, like every time you see a dystopian future, you know, where like the robots are kind of just like people, that world is always broken down and it's like the whole world is a third world country. It's really weird how those two constantly coincide and film together.
Yeah, it's not exactly like this, but if you want something similar, check out Tales from the Loop, the show or the book. And also, if you haven't seen Chappie or any of Neil Blomkamp's movies, like
not to
definitely
mention, we haven't talked about it, but there is some distinct, I think, comparisons you can make to Children of Men with this movie. This movie's a much softer.
You and I were
Children
talking about
Men,
that, yeah.
You know, the
Also, it's
concept of safeguarding and escorting, and you know, it's that's also a dystopian. It's a different concept. You know, people can't have children anymore, and he's guarding a woman who's pregnant. But still, you know, he's guarding a very new creature on this earth that's never been seen before, type thing.
Mm-hmm.
It has the same like aesthetic and vibe of like a Ghost in the Shell sort of.
Yeah.
Yes, it has the same energy. Yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing.
We're not
like,
talking the movie. We're talking the cartoon, the anime, the anime toon.
I have not seen the anime. I've seen the garbage movie.
Here's the thing: Hulu is already clearly okay with working with Gareth Edwards. Anybody want him to do a Predator sequel?
Ooh, that would be nice.
Just saying.
Visually.
Alex, what you got going on, brother?
For me, this is like an 8. It would have been a little higher if it was a little shorter. There was some times where it was just like really lull. Yeah, huh?
It did have lulls in the movie though.
The 2 hour and 13 minutes.
Well, basically,
a little bit shorter would be
every scene. There's scenes that, like, you know, they want to show the emotion, but then they go too deep into it, and it ends up being 5 minutes of like. And it's like,
yeah, it needed to be tighter in a lot of scenes.
A little bit repeated dialogue to it, like in certain areas, like it repeated what was already said before.
Well,
but
I think that's where part of the predictability makes a problem for you, because once you kind of like know what's going to happen, then you got to literally sit there and watch all the kind of slow shit when you already know what's going to happen. That's where I was kind of running into the issue too.
Yeah, but I can see myself rewatching this someday with my wife and her actually liking it. But but yeah, it was just a little bit of the slow time for me with 2 hours and 15 minutes or almost. But other than that, it was an 8 for me, and I liked everything visually. I like the characters.
7.5 or an 8?
It's an 8. I never said 7.5.
7.5 for me.
Oh, I thought you said 7.5.
No, I didn't. I said 8.
My fault. I've been drinking too much. I'm just dumb.
Giovanni said 8. 8.5.
8.5, yeah.
8.5.
Yeah.
Lewis is 7.5. You're 8.
7.5.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 7.5 because as soon as I see this, but I will say, as soon as I see this movie on sale, I'm gonna buy it, watch it with Jen with the proper soundtrack. Because Hulu really pissed me off because visually the transfers aren't bad, but the soundtrack is just so low and muted that if I'm watching a big explosive sci-fi action movie, I want to hear those. I want to hear my subwoofer kicking in. I want to hear the surround sound. So like, I will buy this movie on sale and I will watch it with Jen because I think she'd dig it. And I want to. You should be able to hear.
You should be able to hear explosions in space, right, Anthony? I know you love that about sci-fi movies. Explosions in space.
Yeah, explosions in space.
Hey, to be fair, he never went into the outer atmosphere But they still simulated him not being able to hear shit at that.
It also implodes. Yeah, it implodes at a certain point. It explodes, but then it implodes real fast.
It may not have been super accurate, but they never breached the outer atmosphere, so they weren't technically in space, just very, very high altitude.
All right, I'll give it to you.
I'm just saying it could be some anti-science in the movie, or
he didn't say it this time, but I know that was in the back of his mind about the explosions in space.
I'll put it this way: William Shatner has been in space more than this main character was in this movie.
It's technically true. Yeah.
Deeper in space.
I'm just saying, and I'm not saying his character on Star Trek. I'm saying the real old motherfucker has at least gone into the outer atmosphere
with Bezos.
Just with Bezos and Branson, and wouldn't that be fucked up if like they go out in the atmosphere and it's Branson, Bezos, basically everybody who's on Epstein Island, and the only shit that people care about is poor William Shatner dying on it. Like that's all I'd give a shit about. You mean to tell me a bunch of billionaires died doing billionaire shit? Oh, William Shatner, fuck that sucks. You know,
our favorite Canadian.
I do find him funny on Twitter. Because people will write shit to him, and he's almost like Trump, where he must be taking a shit at 3 a.m, and he's just like
replying.
Well, I'm gonna tell him to fuck himself, and he just starts typing, and it's the wildest thing to see his Twitter every now and then, where he's like, I never said, and he just goes at people too.
William Shatner's typing to the Wonka cat. I could tell him what to do with this Wonka bar.
Yeah, right. I'm telling the computer exactly what he can do with a lifetime supply of chocolate as he's angrily pressing keys. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Next week's going to be a fun bullshit episode. We're going to talk everything movies and all that sort of ADD shit we ramp in on. And then join us the week after. Yeah, we'll have maybe some trivia, some fun stuff. We'll try to plan something for next week. And then the week after that, we'll be doing Reptile and LA Confidential. So I'll post these in the Discord in case you guys want to follow along and kind of watch the movies with us. We're going to be doing a mix of old and new. We're going to try to revisit some movies we've never seen or never reviewed. There's a lot of movies that have, and don't get me wrong, I'm going to tabulate all the movies we've done. I'm going to post stuff in the Discord to show you guys exactly what we've actually reviewed before. But if this is episode 117, we average 2 movies. We'll say if you just average 2 movies an episode, which you don't because we did Christmas and Halloween's with 4, but we'll average 2 conservatively. That's still 130 or 234 movies. So, and that's a low. We're at least probably more 275, 300.
It's still lowballing it, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll make that list, and we've done a lot of movies. So now, but oddly enough, there's things that we didn't review. Whether it's a comedy, we don't do many comedies because there's not much to talk about. But comedy could be fun for just generating chit chat and reminiscing and talking like we do here. So. We'll see you guys next week. It'll be the 3 of us no, you're here next week, right, Lewis? Or no, you're off. 3 of us. We'll be doing just kind of a fun bullshit, but maybe we'll do some fun stuff. And, we're also thinking about concepts of like, would you guys like to do a Nerditude Gaming Day? Where we play a game on stream, we all join Discord, we kind of have a little bit of a party time. If you're friendly and you're known to the stream, that is. Not just
you said big circle jerk.
Wacko. What?
What? What did you say?
Count me in. Good night, everybody. Nikki says hi. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. I'll see you Monday on Twitch. No, Tuesday. Doctor's appointment Monday. God damn it. All right, I'll see you when I see you.